Hey guys, welcome back to the Elliott Confidential podcast. My name is Aiden. I'm joined by my father, Christopher Elliott, my uncle, Dustin Elliott, and my brother, Aren Elliott. Let's just get started, shall we?
That was a great introduction. Welcome to the Elliott Confidential podcast. It's been 14 days since we posted anything, and I thought we would start by telling people why we missed it. Why weren't we... why didn't we have a podcast last week?
I think Aaron's already jumping to the answer.
I know Aaron just said it. I know we all got sick.
Yeah, so unfortunate, It was a little bit of monkeypox and coronavirus. And so we decided that the moment we all got sick, that we were going to do a marathon. We were going to eat as many restaurants as possible and go to indoor public spaces. So as to infect as many people as humanly possible.
Yes, exactly.
Of course. No, that's not what we did, but that's an interesting story. The thing that got us very sick was we walked to the top of Lycabettus Hill, which has one of the best views in all of Athens. A beautiful 360-degree view of the city and all the attractions.
Well, apparently the view was so bad it made you guys sick, so I don't think it's that good.
But it's a strenuous walk up the hill. And
it's a good kind of sick, though. Like in California, they say sick, man.
Sick.
Oh, that's really sick. That means like
yeah. Rip the waves apart, man. Rip the waves.
In this exciting episode of the Elliott Confidential podcast, we are going to talk about Lycabettus Hill. We'll get right back to that. And we also are going to talk about the Pangrati neighborhood tour that we took here. It's not the kind of tour you take when you go to Athens. We'll also do your reader emails, or your emails from readers. And we've got a question for you at the end, so stick around. But first, let's talk about this ascent to Lycabettus Hill and us getting desperately ill and then not being able to do a podcast. You discovered Lycabettus Hill, Aren.
Yeah, so we were staying near that metro station, Ammonia, and we decided, let's go over to this hill. It looked like a nice hill. We had seen it before. There's a nice church on top, so it seemed interesting. So we went up, and this was like in the first 3 days of being here, and we were amazed. It was great,
It was
wonderful view, and the weather was perfect. So we decided to come up, and I think we've gone up 3 times now. So I've come up twice with Dustin. I think Dustin must be the person that's gone up there the most because...
Yeah, 3 times.
But on that particular day when we went up, we were thinking, we were all confident. We were thinking, we're just feeling a little bit maybe tired. And then we went up to the top. When we got to the top, we realized something was seriously wrong. I remember getting down to the bottom. We got into our apartment, and I immediately went to bed and slept for 24 hours. That's how sick I was.
Woo.
Yeah, you remember that?
I don't remember it like
the reason
that.
you don't is because you were sick too. The time kind of warped. But Aren, I'm sorry, but I did not get sick.
No, I did not get sick.
On a related note, I think that you really have to go up Lycabettus Hill, whether you're sick or not, because Lycabettus Hill has one of the best views of all of Athens. You get to see the Acropolis. You get to see
Stadium.
That Olympic Stadium, yeah. You get to see all of the neighborhoods. You can see the mountains. You can see the Mediterranean.
There's an amphitheater up there, too.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There's an open-air amphitheater.
I heard Ray Charles actually played at that amphitheater.
Absolute beautiful area.
That's cool.
Just the greatest view of the city.
And there's beautiful restaurants and cafes up there, too.
You guys haven't been there at night, but I walked up there at night with Dustin. Amazing. All the lights. The Acropolis was lit up perfectly. I took some beautiful images.
Why does your voice sound like that?
What are you doing?
Why don't you talk in your talking voice?
Hey, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
Hey, guys.
Well, okay, so basically, you ever heard of the video game Kirby?
No.
Okay, well, yesterday I ate a voice actor, and I've sounded like this ever since. It's very weird. I'm trying to get over it.
Okay, good. Well, let us know when you're back to normal.
Okay. I think this is the new normal.
It's not gonna happen.
Guys, this is the new normal. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, yeah, like COVID. It's the new normal.
Yeah.
Pangrati. We took a neighborhood tour of Pangrati with a volunteer from This is Athens, which is the Athens Tourism Development
Wait, he's a volunteer?
organization. Yeah, he's a volunteer. Spiros.
Oh.
Nice guy.
Very
and
nice.
he walked around. They have a program called This is Athens with a Local. That is what it's called. And it's free. They'll show you around the other parts of Athens that a lot of tourists don't get to see.
Wow.
And so we went and walked around for probably about 2.5 hours yesterday, into some of the neighborhoods that tourists never go to. What did we find, Aiden?
We passed by kind of an international food store where they sell Turkish gazos and American Dr. Pepper. If you're trying to look for a beverage that you can't usually find in many international destinations and you just really crave that beverage, you got to go there. No idea how to pronounce the name. It's all written in Greek script, but
It's all Greek to me.
I'm sure you'll be able to find it. It's right in the center of yuppie Athens. Past that, we basically just passed by our daily food places that we usually go to.
Yeah, we've discovered some food places.
Yeah.
And then Olympic Stadium. Dustin, what did you think of that? You can actually get in for free.
You can. If you go from the backside, you can actually access it where all the local Athenians access the stadium. And there's people actually running around the stadium when they're exercising. And it's a great view. And that whole neighborhood behind the stadium is also it's a neighborhood where it's pretty much locals, and our local guide wanted us to be aware that in order to grow Athens, they had to focus on the local population that could then kind of bring in tourists and show them the appropriate mannerisms of behavior and the appropriate ethiquette.
No flat-handed gestures.
It was nice, but it's also that neighborhood is full of like composers, writers, people that worked in theater, a lot of jazz clubs, libraries.
Yes, and food. And actually, he was really into the food. Our guide, Spiros, and Aren and I took note of all the places that he was talking about.
Exactly. We actually ended up going to one of these places for food.
Yes.
There's a little cafe called Oh Boy, and it has
Oh boy!
Oh Boy. Well, it's well known for its desserts, coffee, and brunch things, meandering food things.
We're gonna get a copyright strike for that. I swear to God, Disney's gonna come after us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it has a bunch of food stuff, and we decided we were going to get some desserts because it had been my birthday a couple of days before, and I didn't get any desserts. And so people were like, I'm craving that dessert.
You have to have a cake.
Oh, yeah, have a cake. Well, yeah, it had some pretty good desserts. There are also a bunch of other restaurants here that are just really fascinating. I mean, today we went to a restaurant, and I don't think I've ever been to a restaurant like this before. It was called Mystic Pizzeria, and this was not
like
on
the
the tour, but it was in the neighborhood. Yeah, and it was a fascinating place. Like, it served food that I didn't expect to ever be served. Because I'm so used to going, in the United States, when you say, I want a pizza, it's like, it's a pizza. But this is a different pizza. It has different flour, different cheese. Well, we are vegans, so of course the cheese is going to be different. But it was like a different experience. And I was actually very pleasantly shocked. A lot of restaurants here are very unique.
Yeah, so one of the places that he mentioned was Veneti, and I originally thought it was mostly just for tourists, but he said that it's actually a local favorite too. But one thing that wasn't a local favorite was the pizza, because my favorite part of Veneti was actually the pizza. And some people also call it Veneti Venice, but the locals call it Veneti. He was actually very upset when I said the pizza was the best, but I swear to God, if you go here and you try the Veneti pizza, you'll be surprised.
I'd like to ask the same question that I asked a couple of weeks ago about Athens. Is this a good time of year to be here? The reason I ask is that temperatures have gotten a little bit warmer.
That's what I was just about to say. It's a little bit hot, but there's not too many tourists. I mean, there are some, but not too many. We walk around the city, have a good time. As long as you don't go out in the city midday, you should be totally fine. It's not overcrowded. We've been to places when it's overcrowded, and that's not fun at all.
Okay, so
I would
May's
say,
still good.
in general,
Yeah.
this is a good time to be here.
Okay, good. Dustin, you went to an art gallery today alone.
Should I talk in a radio voice, or should I just talk in radio
Yes,
voice?
tell us what you think.
Tell us what you think, Dustin.
Well, I went to the Basile and Elise Golandris Foundation. It's on 13 Eratosthenos Street. It's in Athens, and it is run by a private family. It's very wealthy. It's right near a basilica, an Orthodox church. And it has random art from all the great artists of the last 100 years. So you can find obscure Picasso, Gauguin, Rodin, who else? The list goes on. Kandinsky, Paul Klee, some impressionists, post-impressionists, whatnot. So, and it's 5 different etages, so 5 different floors. And it's
a lot of art.
It's a lot of art, and it's a lot of obscure art, but it's cool because, you'll be walking down the gallery and you'll see a Paul, can't even pronounce it, Giacometti. You'll see a Giacometti and illustration. You're like, whoa, what's that doing there? So, it's cool. Or you'll see I guess what's the artist's name now? I forget now. It's Ernst Richter. I think it's Paul Richter. It's one of the Richters. Anyways, either way.
What is that, Richter?
Richter. He's an artist. Not Andy Richter. You'll see an Andy Richter.
Andy Richter.
Andy Richter.
I love Andy Richter, the Swedish German.
It sounds very inspiring.
But I tried for it to become inspiring. I want it to inspire me, but inspiration's interesting. I would say for the artists listening, I highly recommend going to that museum, and it is inspirational. But as we know how inspiration works, it can't be on demand ever.
You're listening to the Elliott Confidential podcast. I'm Christopher Elliott here with Aren, Iden, and Dustin Elliott. We're at the point where we're going to talk about your reader comments. I love this part of our podcast because we have a lot of fun with reading your feedback and responding to it. And we had a note from Jonah that said, please improve the audio quality of the podcast. A possible good step might be having the participants use headsets rather than conference speakers. So I wanted to ask the person who actually edits our podcast, are we using conference speakers? How are we doing this? Can you maybe run us through how we're getting the audio and why maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, our last podcast, the audio wasn't that great?
The great thing about podcasts is that it really allows the democratization of conversations, great conversations, in fact. And so we're using a very simple method that really anyone can use, since nowadays everyone has access to a phone. So what we do is basically we start recording, each of us individually on our phones, and then we synchronize our audio in post using an audio editing software. It could be any audio editing software, but we synchronize it, and that's how it works. So what you're listening to is actually a composite of all of our phone's audios. We're sticking our phones right up next to our face for 30 minutes straight and talking with each other. Our phones are our microphones. So that's how we make the podcast.
And our phones actually they have very good microphones.
Yeah, very good microphones.
But here's where things went wrong last week. We had a couple of issues where people were not holding their phones close enough to their faces, or they were holding them too close to their face and they were yelling and then they were spiking. We have a note here from Nick. He said, I'm surprised you didn't do more research about the neighborhood. This is the disastrous vacation rental that we ended up in 2 weeks ago. There are literally thousands of Airbnbs in Athens. If you consulted with someone who lives there, they could have guided you. Finally, you couldn't have gone wrong with any Airbnb with good ratings within a mile or so from the Acropolis.
Wow.
I would like to...
you know what? Okay, I have to stop.
Now, wait,
I've got to
sounds
stop.
a little bit accusatory. Right?
I've got
just a little bit.
Just a little bit accusatory.
I have to stop. I have to stop you right there because, okay, you can't go wrong with a place that's within a mile of the Acropolis and has good reviews on Airbnb. This place really passed those 2 criteria. So I'm going to just say this.
And it wasn't Airbnb, it was VRBO.
Yeah, it was VRBO. Yeah. So I would just say this. And also, this place was on Airbnb, by the way. It was listed on Airbnb.
It was too, yes.
Here's what I would say to this person is, look, I've been looking at rentals for a long time now. And you make a point, more research was necessary. But the thing is that you have to realize is we were short on time, basically. We ended up choosing this place. It met all of the criteria. And the horrible thing about Airbnb is that, VRBO, sorry, is that you don't get to see exactly where the place is.
Well, that's for both.
So all you can do is look at some of the reviews, and the review says, oh yeah, the place is in a little bit of a rougher neighborhood, but it's okay. And if someone says that, I'm going to believe that. And this person obviously they kind of toned down the severity of how bad a neighborhood this was. It was a very bad neighborhood, and it was a very dark apartment.
Yeah,
and
it was terrible. It was just
there
terrible.
were just omitted details everywhere. It had 18 glowing reviews, but in the end, it wasn't for us. And
the way that they actually rigged the reviews is very interesting because they quickly gave us a refund, and when you give a refund, then the person who gets the refund can't leave a review. So that way, only people who like the place will give a review. Yes,
and when we went over there, when we went over there the first time, the guy who showed us around the place, he actually asked us, so just want to make sure that you're going to stay for the full amount of time.
Right.
If you have to ask that, then you probably already know that a lot of people decide not to stay. And that's a tactic, because then you're like, okay, if you don't like it, we want you to leave as soon as possible so you can get your refund and you don't give us a bad review and then leave us alone.
Yeah, I think that the other problem is that there's really no place you can go for reliable, objective vacation rental reviews. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You're basically a prisoner of either Airbnb or VRBO's reviews, and those reviews, you're not seeing everything. Some of the reviews will sunset after a while. Some of them won't even make it onto the system. And so you rely on these reviews, but they don't tell the full picture.
Yeah, you rely on the reviews, but the reviews are not reliable.
Profound and true.
Very profound. This week's question is, have you ever stayed in a vacation rental that you regretted staying in? And if so, what was your experience with it? We'd love to hear from you in the comments down below.
That was very good.
Molto bene.
Good job.
Molto bene.
So glad you joined us, everyone. We're going to post some pictures and links to the This is Athens program that I mentioned. And we'd love to hear more of your comments. So please leave comments for us, and we will read them in next week's podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Signing off now.
Yeah, signing off now. And thank you for accepting the new me. Thanks for accepting the new me, guys.
All right. I'll see you later. Bye. Have
See
a good
you later,
one.
guys.
See you.
Bye-bye.